Tonight's meeting to order. Let's have the roll call.
Kessler.
Here.
Walters.
Here.
Rarden.
Here.
Ewert. Here. Benner.
Here.
Parton.
Here.
Crum.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Invocation tonight will be given by John Meadows of the Christian Chapel, Foursquare.
All right, let us pray. Father, we thank you for this day, and we thank you for sending your Son into this world. And we thank you for that loving act of salvation that brought us into your presence, Lord. I just ask by your Spirit, Lord, you be with the mayor and the city officials here and the council members, Lord. We just ask that you help us make this community the community that you want. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're going to start our meeting tonight with a special order of business. A, Police Department promotions. Chief, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and Council, this evening we have a promotion of 2 police officers within our department. The first promotion is to the rank of sergeant. The rank of sergeant is a supervisory position which we currently use as our shift supervisors. Candidates for these positions are considered on the basis of their experience. They're also evaluated through written testing and their demonstrated abilities in a supervisory role. Grady Germany, come on over. Officer Grady Germany began his law enforcement career in 2000 in Greenville, Mississippi Police Department. He began working for the Haysville Police Department in 2005. Between 2007 and 2008, he temporarily left work to go to the International Police in Afghanistan. In April 2008, he returned to Haysville, and during this time with our department, he served our community as a patrol officer, a school resource officer, and in our communication section. Grady's married to his wife Brandy, and they have 3 children. So I will present you with your badge. There you go.
Thank you.
Good job.
Congratulations.
Our second promotion is to the rank of captain. The rank of captain is assigned to the administrative section in the department and is responsible for department supervision with an emphasis on planning, purchasing, training, and equipment. Keith Longo. Keith began his career in law enforcement in 1994. He's attended and completed police academies in both Kansas and Missouri. Keith began working for the Haysville Police Department in 1997. During his time with the Haysville Police Department, Keith has served the community in a variety of positions, including patrol and investigations, also as a task force officer and as a supervisor. He was most recently assigned to the patrol section as a field training officer, training our new officers that come in. He is married to his wife Tina, and they have 2 daughters. So congratulations.
Thank you, Chief.
Good. Thanks, Chief. Congratulations, guys. We'll move on then on our agenda as a presentation and approval of minutes. A, minutes of May 24th, 2021. Ms. Parton?
Make a motion to approve the minutes of May 24th, 2021.
Second.
Motion second to approve the minutes of May 24th, 2021. Discussion? Question?
Kessler.
Yes.
Walters.
Yes.
Rarden.
Yes.
Ewert.
Yes.
Benner.
Yes.
Parton.
Abstain.
Crum.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Item 1, citizens be heard. We have nothing on the agenda. Item 2, approval of license and bonds. We have nothing on the agenda. Item 3, introduction of ordinance and resolutions. We've got an ordinance rezoning real property located in the city of Haysville, Kansas from D light commercial to E heavy commercial and PO protective overlay, amending the official map and maps of the city reflecting such amendment to all the zoning regulations of the city. Georgie.
Good evening, Mayor and Councilor. So you have before you the staff report that was presented to the Planning Commission on May 27th. What brought this about was the owner had rented it out to a business. They came in for a business license. It was reviewed, and it was not allowed with the zoning of the property. So they had contacted me asking what they needed to do. They went through all the necessary paperwork. Planning Commission reviewed it. I won't go through the whole report. You guys can look through that. But they did approve it with a protected overlay. There were some uses they didn't allow, and then they did require screening if they were going to have any outdoor storage. The applicant that's going to be renting it, he is here. He's going to be making military parts. It's a welding business that he's going to be doing inside. There won't be any outside storage. It's basically anything that they need replaced out of metal, he can reproduce it. The protective overlay is listed on there. The comments from a couple of residents, they were mostly inquiring what the business was going to be. I think that's everything. I can answer any other questions you might have.
Mr. Carpenter?
Yeah, I just had a couple of questions. One was, you said the cut was one of the people that got a hold of you happened to be the residence that's directly behind it.
Yes.
We talked about having the overlay with the fence. I'm curious if they're doing stuff in the back. Do we have any kind of regulations about making sure stuff's on the all-weather surface, that kind of thing?
So there still would be, if they have anything stored outside, it would have to be on all-weather surface still, even if they do have the screening. So that will be applicable no matter what.
Okay. Then my next question may just have to do with the change in zoning. Is this the most efficient way to do this, or would it have been more efficient to somehow give him a special use form in the light commercial that they had?
It wasn't allowed as a use in the conditional use for under light commercial.
So there just wasn't a way to do it?
Right, this was the easiest way.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Harden?
Well, one of the questions I had brought up about the all-weather surfaces and the screening and stuff. I'm all for the screening and the underlaying, but we got several businesses right next door that do not have all-weather surfaces and they have vehicles parked on them, and they do not have screening on them. So what's the difference?
Unfortunately, if they're already there and they're grandfathered in for what they were allowed before, I can't change that for what the code says. Some of those businesses have been there for quite a while and they were non-conforming use. So if they were allowed before and the business has continued and it hasn't discontinued, then they can be allowed to have that. And I'm trying to prevent exactly what you're indicating from happening by requiring screening if they have outdoor storage and everything, so.
Ms. Waters?
Yes, I noticed the resident to the west, her only question was about noise. What is the noise level or the audio level for that business? Do you know?
All his work will be inside, there won't be any outside work. So there shouldn't be any noise level that's outside the building. It's a welding company, he'll be doing welding that's just himself. I can't tell you 100% what the noise level would be, but there won't be any outside work going on, so I don't think it would be any different than the two companies down the way. One of them is a welding company, the other one next door, I'm not sure what that one is.
Well,
So
we
I
all
don't-
know if it's empty now.
I was thinking one of them was empty, so.
Yeah. So Mike, okay, well, that question then is, so if a business comes into that building, depending on what they do, then will the new overlays and the fencing and all that, will that,
It's only on the current property with that one. It will have a protective overlay, you'll see it on the map. It's only that property.
Anyone moving into the property that will have to be within whatever that zoning
Right.
is.
Yes,
That's what
that
I'm
property,
asking.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood what you said.
yeah, no, that's what I'm asking. So
Yes,
any new business that comes in there would have to come in and go through the same thing with the overlays and the.
No, it's already, what's the zone for now?
it's zoned light commercial.
Next to the north.
Heavy commercial.
Sorry.
Same.
North is what?
Heavy commercial.
Heavy commercial, so they will have to stay within whatever heavy commercial is.
Right. Okay.
Ms. Parker?
And I understand the fencing and the screening, but I would think that the all-weather surface was something that has been in for a long time.
All-weather
So why is
surface,
that
yeah,
not?
that can be enforced anywhere on an all-weather surface, but as far as what you had mentioned exactly right, so yeah.
Okay, so maybe something we should look into.
All right, we can have code enforcement check the others and see, sure.
Okay.
Other questions, council? Mr. Crump?
I'll make a motion that we approve an ordinance rezoning the real property located within the city of Haysville, Kansas for D light commercial to E heavy commercial and the protective overlay amending the official zoning map or maps of the city to reflect such amendment, all pursuant to the zoning regulations of the city.
Second.
Motion second to approve the rezoning ordinance as presented. Other discussion? Question?
Kessler,
Yes.
Walters,
Yes.
Rardon.
Yes.
Ewert.
Yes.
Benner.
Yes.
Parton.
Yes.
Crum.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Item B, an ordinance vacating a portion of platted utility easement within Timber Creek Estates addition. You've got your map showing it's a vacating the back part of that utility easement because the utilities were put in the very front of that and we no longer need the back. So, Georgie, anything you want to add?
So this is just something that came up with economic development, selling some of the lots. One of the first lots on the south side, the property owner approached us about vacating if those were going to be used. They wanted to build in the back and possibly have a fence or a shed. Talking to some of the others, they were interested in it also, so we filled out the application, contacted all the utility companies. You can see the comments in there. All the utilities are in the front. If you've ever been over there, the property lines for those properties actually go about 20 feet into the trees, and this utility easement sits actually in front of the trees. So it's kind of right at the edge of their yard. There's no need for this utility easement. It's been reviewed with PEC and all the utility companies, so.
Questions? Motion? Mr. Kessler?
Make a motion, we approve the ordinance vacating a portion of the platted utility easement within the Timber Creek Estate addition.
Second.
Motion second, approving the ordinance vacating a portion of Timber Creek as presented. Other discussion? Question?
Kessler.
Yes.
Walters.
Yes.
Rardon.
Yes.
Ewert.
Yes.
Benner.
Yes.
Parton.
Yes.
Crum.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Item C is an ordinance amending certain zoning regulations of the city of Haysville, Kansas.
So at the May 27th, we also had another public hearing. This is one of the items the mayor had mentioned during the workshop that we were looking at committees. We reviewed several of the towns in the area and looked at what they had for numbers on their planning commission, also what they had for formatting for their BZA. Just kind of going down through the summary. So we're going to remove committee information from Chapter 16, Article 9, and move it to Chapter 1. Combine Planning Commission and BZA into one board. BZA only meets when needed. Looking back over the last 5 years, there's only been at the max 3 meetings a year. Usually there's only been actually 2 agenda items. So combining planning and BZA puts more experienced people on BZA and planning, and they have knowledge and are, you know, constantly looking or at least meeting once a month and dealing with planning and zoning, so they're kind of more knowledgeable in that area. And then just, we've had a decline in volunteers. We've had 3 vacancies, and then before we even had discussed this, we had a member from planning tell us that he didn't want to be reappointed this year, so we were going to be looking at 4. When you review the other towns, there's 5 that have combined BZA and planning. So with this, we'd be removing the information from Chapter 16 and moving it over to Chapter 1. Handover is one that I spoke to quite a bit about this. They've had theirs combined for about 20 years. They said they haven't had any issues of handling issues between BZA and planning.
Ms. Martin?
Okay, I have a couple things. In the planning minutes, you stated that public hearing notices were mailed May 5th. Who were they mailed to?
That's an error. It should be that it was published. This wouldn't have been mailed to.
Okay, well, that was what I was wondering. It's like,
That's
okay,
an error.
and then as far as it states in there that, let's see here, 1-605B, 7 members, which 5 members shall be residents of the city and 2 members shall reside outside the city. I don't have a problem with that, except for I think it should be at least 1 member from each ward.
So in practice, that is what we've always done. It's never been in the code that way. But in practice, that is what the mayor has always done. That's up to you guys if you want to change that. But that's what we've always
The
done.
problem we've run into with truly putting a member from a ward is that once something comes up, then they start getting calls from the people there. Planning Commission is supposed to be neutral. You are not supposed to be representing any certain thing. Planning people are neutral. You don't represent it. What's happening is they're doing your job. You represent those people. They should be talking to you, not trying to buttonhole a planning commissioner. Planning commissioners should be neutral.
Wasn't the contact information put out on the website at one point?
With the contact
For the
information.
planning commission?
I'm sure it was put out, sure, more than once. But what's
I mean,
happened-
If
what-
contact for each of the different commissioners wasn't out there, then they wouldn't be contacting them, they would,
They can still contact them, but what happens is truly, they start being pushed by people in that area. They ought to be contacting all of them if they've got a question, not just the one.
I guess I never ran into that in the 12 years I was on it.
Happened just the last meeting they had when we were looking at the zoning. We actually had a commissioner turn in the people contacting him because of the direct contact they were having. And we actually did training for those people last time, so they understand that planning commissioners, you're neutral.
Right.
You're not supposed to have a preset idea of what's going in to your meeting. You're neutral. You don't have anything there until you hear what's going on. That's why we want to get away from naming one by wards,
Yeah.
especially taking away your council's job.
Well, I understand that, but I just hate to see it get lopsided. And we'll just use for an example, we got 2 people here, 2 people here, or 3 people here on 1 and 2, and nobody's looking out for 3 and 4, or 3 and 4.
That's your job. That's
Well,
not your job.
I understand that.
That's your job. Mr. Crum?
Back to looking at the minutes from the meeting, we're talking about 7 members, but in the minutes,
It said
they're
9.
talking about, they mentioned that they're okay, they're comfortable if it goes with 9. I was just curious whether or not they clarified that.
So there was discussion during the meeting. Mrs. Coleman wanted to stay with 9 because she didn't want to dismiss anybody that was currently on the board. When I explained to her that one person had already stepped down and did not want to be reappointed, and then another member at that time said, I would really like to step down, I have other commitments. She said, okay, with that, I'm fine with it being 7. I just didn't want to make anybody have to step down.
But it says 9 in the minutes.
In the minutes, it does say 9, that's why.
There might be some errors in the minutes. It says draft, I'll get those changed.
Okay.
And appointments actually can be by ward too. It doesn't say that they have to be. So, if I'm doing, we'll look and see if we can spread them out. Having 5 commissioners from Ward 1 doesn't work well. Or Ward 2, or Ward 3, or
And
whatever.
that's just my fear, is it? I mean, and you probably will never, but what's to say down the road? It won't happen. That's why I feel like,
Yeah, you gotta
because even
have,
if you don't list them as wards for the planning commission, I mean, but you go out and look for people from those wards.
could happen if someone wanted to load it,
Yeah,
sure.
Internally, we keep them listed by board.
well, and I understand
Yeah,
that,
so,
but
Yes,
it's
I
not to
understand. I
say
was just
down the
making sure.
line in the future, a different mayor.
I have a different mayor.
I said in the future. I didn't say right now or in the near future. Maybe after we're all long gone.
Mr. Crum?
I'll go ahead, if there's more discussion, I'll make a motion that we approve an ordinance amending certain zoning regulations of the city of Haysville, Kansas as presented.
Second.
Motion second approving the ordinance amending certain zoning regulations in the Haysville. Other discussion? Question?
Kessler.
Yes.
Walters.
Yes.
Rarden.
Yes.
Ewert.
Yes.
Benner.
Yes.
Parton.
No.
Crum.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Now we're going to D. It's an ordinance amending Chapter 1, Article 6 of the Code of Haysville, Kansas regarding boards and committees.
So in reference to the last ordinance, we started looking at Chapter 1. Historic Committee is one that we started with because it has 11 members during COVID. It's kind of a large number to try to meet with. Going in the future, looking at smaller numbers for committees and being able to meet in person. Historic Committee is one that's really hard to meet. Some of our members are not as technology savvy and can't meet over Zoom, and we tried one where we had a presentation through Zoom and people on Zoom, and it just wasn't the best. So having a smaller number where we can spread out and still get some things done, that was one of the ones we looked at. Also, going through the summary of major changes, BPAC has kind of ran its course. It did several things for a while, but basically moving those duties underneath anything that would need to be done with the park board. Historic Committee, we'd be reducing the number to 9 from 11. At the meeting, same thing in discussion. One person decided to step down, and let me see, another had volunteered before the meeting that they didn't have the time before coming to meetings and everything. So same thing with moving Planning Commission over BZA. That's all repetitive from the last one. And I think that's all of them. Senior Center, we had 2 committees in the past. We had the board and then we had the planning committee. Didn't really make much sense to have 2 different groups meeting on kind of similar information. So combining that into one, we would have 8 members on that, basically 7 and 1 appointee. So I think I've hit all of those. With that, there was a copy at your bench also. There was one correction that just didn't get the right copy saved, changing from committee forward to committee. So.
Questions, Georgie? Motion? Ms. Burke?
Make a motion to accept the ordinance amending Chapter 1, Article 6 of the Code of the City of Haysville, Kansas regarding boards and committees.
Second.
Motion second approving the amending of Chapter 1, Article 6 as presented. Discussion? Question?
Kessler.
Yes.
Walters.
Yes.
Rardon.
Yes.
Ewert.
Yes.
Benner.
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Crum.
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item E, an ordinance amending Chapter 17, Article 3, Section 17358 of the Code of Haysville, Kansas regarding park shelter rental fees. This is only to be adding the new shelter at Dorner Park. And that's really the whole thing, just amending to get that on there. So, Mr. Crum?
I'll make a motion that we approve an ordinance amending Chapter 17, Article 3, Section 17-358 of the Code of the City of Haysville, Kansas regarding park shelter rental fees.
Second.
Motion second approving the ordinance on the park shelter rental fees as presented. Discussion? Mr. Walters?
Yeah, quick question. It was to add the
Trout
Dorner-
shelter.
What?
Trout shelter is what it is
The new shelter at Dorner.
in that first paragraph.
And that's the one that said Dorner Park? Oh, okay, I didn't understand that. Thank you.
Other questions? Discussion? Question?
Kessler,
Yes.
Walters,
Yes.
Rardon,
Yes.
Ewert,
Yes.
Benner,
Yes.
Parton,
Yes.
Crum,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Item 4, notice communications, government body announcements. Mr. Crum?
Reminder, hours at the library, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 7 p.m., Fridays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m., Saturdays from 10 to 4. They are closed Sunday. The library would like to thank everybody that has signed up so far for summer reading. Make sure everybody knows that they can still sign up for that if they want. To get rewards for summer readers, you can get a free prize every week. All you have to do is at least once per week record your reading in a Reader Zone app. So they actually have an app this year. It can be on any book of your choosing. Each week you can come in and check out the library and we'll have a prize for all the active readers. And we say most importantly to have fun. And then upcoming events going on at the library. Tomorrow at 2:30. They will have their summer movie matinee, The Secret Life of Pets 2. Then on the 22nd, so a week from tomorrow, again at 2:30, another movie matinee, and that's going to be The Princess Bride. The 23rd at 10 a.m., Laughing Matters will be doing a live performance at Riggs Park. And then on the 26th from 11 to 4, Red Cross will be having a blood drive at the library. Then I want to remind everybody about the meals. Janet, you weren't here at the last meeting. They can eat there or get the meals to go.
Okay.
The meals are Monday through Thursday. You can go in and pick them up. Breakfasts are from 7 to 8:30. Again, you can pick them up or eat there. Lunch is from 11 to 1. And then I'm still checking to find out if this has got extended through July, but through June on Thursday, if you go for lunch, you can also take home breakfast and lunch for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And again, that's at HMS, Nelson, and Campus High School. That's all I have.
On Thursday of this week, there is the dedication of the Learning Center for Dr. Burke. They're renaming it for him. That takes place at 9:30 over the Learning Center. Senior Center announcements, Tuesday, June 15th, they have billiards at 2 o'clock. Wednesday, June 16th, they have commodities at 1. Thursday, June 17th, they have bingo at 12:30. Monday, June 21st, they have the Mexican train at 1 o'clock, whatever that may be. Anybody know?
Domino's.
Domino's.
Domino's,
Sorry.
Mexican train is Domino's.
You're that age.
Hey. Wednesday, June 23rd, why don't you just put Domino's instead of Mexican?
I'll fix that.
Wednesday, June 23rd, Donuts and Conversation at 8:30. And Saturday, June 26th, Friends and Family Return at 8:30 a.m. with the game rooms open till noon. Haysville Hustle, 58 rides of the last 2 weeks, and there have been 15 new riders that registered in the last 2 weeks, so that's being up there. Announcements, anyone else? Seeing that, we'll move on. 2B, Sedgwick County Fire Department Station 34 monthly report. They didn't turn us in one, and I don't think they're here, so we'll go to item C, which is new businesses. We have 3. We have Field Recovery Foundation LLC, which is a transition housing and skilled training services. Air Capital Self-Storage LLC, storage units. Candy Cones LLC, which is shaved ice and coffee. Item D, we have an email from Cox Communications on their changes. Item 5, old business, presentation of the 2020 audit report. We have tonight with us Lisa Seymour of BKD. She's going to tell us how good we are.
Yep, absolutely. First thing I want to do is just thank you again for letting us serve as your auditor. Really appreciate that relationship. Also want to thank Will and Angie. I know with Janie retiring, you always have a little concern there, but Angie did a great job, really got us stuff very quickly, and we were able to proceed with the audit just like a normal year, so we were very, very happy to see that. So I'm not sure if you have this in front of you, but I'm going to go over the financial statements and the management letter. So the first thing I'll go over is the financial statements, so I'll have you turn in for a couple pages. I think it's 3 or 4 pages. It's the one that has the BKD letterhead, and it says Independent Auditors Report. So what this is what BKD provides. This says what management's responsibility is, which is to prepare the financial statements, and then what the auditor's responsibility, which is to form an opinion on those financial statements after performing audit testing and things like that. If you look at the bottom of that page and the very top of the next page, you'll see a couple paragraphs that say adverse opinion. This is just to say that these are not GAAP financial statements. That's a very specific type of financial statement. So this is just a big red light to say if you're looking at this and you think it's GAAP, you are wrong. This is not GAAP. This is Kansas regulatory basis. So in the middle there of that second page, you'll see opinion on regulatory basis. And this is where we have our unmodified or clean audit opinions. So that's the best you can get. That means that these are presented fairly for all material respects. Keep moving on. And I'll turn you to the summary statement of receipts, expenditures, and unencumbered cash. So this is the snapshot of the city's activity for the year. Gives you the beginning balances, the receipts and expenditures for the year, the encumbrances, and then finally your ending cash. I will point out a couple funds this year. The CDBG fund, that's a new fund this year, and you'll see that that has a negative cash balance. This was a reimbursement fund, so this is the fund that got used to get those business grants out. So, and then they were going to be reimbursed. So there was no way to get that in advance. You had to spend the money before you got the money. So that's why that's a negative balance. And that is not a cash basis violation. You just have to put that little note there at the bottom to explain that. Also on temporary note, 2021A, that also has a negative cash balance. It's a little bit different situation. So I do have a note about that in the financial statement that I will hit on when I get there. Moving right along, if you look at the next page, you can see the ending balances and then where all your cash is located. So if you have some checking accounts, some savings accounts, you can kind of see a good idea of where everything is at. The next page starts off into the notes to the financial statements, so this is more of the qualitative look behind the numbers, gives you kind of a more deep dive into it. I'll point out that note 1 will be pointed out specifically in the management letter. This is the summary of significant accounting policies. So this just goes over very specifically what the accounting policies are of the city. So we'd like to point that one out specifically. I'm not going to go through any of the notes until page 12. Most of these notes are pretty standard. We haven't really changed. They've been kind to us and not made a lot of changes in the KMAG. So on page 12, note 12, we've got two paragraphs there in the stewardship, compliance, and accountability. So the first one is about that temporary note 2021. So Kansas cash basis law says that you can have no indebtedness in a fund in excess of those monies. So there is an exception to that rule. There's a couple of exceptions. One of those being that if there's a provision to fund that by a temporary note or a bond, then you can have an indebtedness. And that was the case in this regard. You had that temporary note that was going to pay for that indebtedness. The second paragraph there talks about depository security violation. So at Intrust Bank for one day, there was they went under their pledges. I think a pledge dropped off, so they were undersecured for one day. As soon as they saw it, they brought it back. Brought a pledge back on so that you were fully secured, but it is a depository securities violation because of that. So Will and I have talked a little bit about making sure that that doesn't happen again in the future. So hopefully Intrust, because we talked to Intrust as well, so hopefully they'll stay on the ball on that stuff. So the last note is going to be your long-term debt footnote, and this is just a good place to go and look and see all the debt of the city, how much is left, how much the payments are, and things like that. Next thing I'm going to point to is the Schedule 1, the summary of expenditures on page 15. This gives a nice snapshot of all the funds that had a certified budget for the year, the expenditures for the year, and then finally if they were over or under budget. So if it's in parentheticals in that far right column, it's under budget. So you can see all of those funds were under budget this year, so we always like to see that. Last thing in this, I'm not going to go through each of these, but if you wanted to take a deeper dive into each of the funds, these Schedule 2s is where you would do that. They give you a little bit more detailed look at to what is going in and out of these funds. So that's all I have for the financial statements. So if there's no questions, I'll move on to the management letter. So the management letter is a required communication between us, the auditors, with you, those charged with governance, in this case the city council, just to let you know of any significant matters that we found during our audit. So that's what this first kind of section of the letter talks about. Then it goes into that, the qualitative aspects of significant accounting policies. So again, we point out that note 1 is where those significant accounting policies are, if you wanted to look at those. If we had any alternative accounting treatments, we would list them here, which we did not. We would also point out any notes that had management judgment or accounting estimates, if we had any, and we did not. And we would also point out any financial statement disclosures that we think are specifically sensitive or maybe you need to pay a little closer attention to. And the stewardship one was kind of on the fence on being on here, but I didn't go ahead and list it, but we didn't have any specifically there. We would also give you any audit adjustments that we made as auditors that we found during the course of our audit, and we did not have any of those. And we also will point out again that those accounting principles are not GAAP. They are Kansas regulatory basis in those qualities of the entity's accounting principles. And finally, any other material communications that we had with the city are listed there as well and attached to this letter. This would also be if we had any internal control policy violations or anything that we thought rose to the level of a deficiency or even a material weakness, we would list those at that point, and we did not have any this year, so very, very happy to see that. The city has always been very good if we do give them suggestions of taking those suggestions and making policies around that, so very happy to see that. So happy to answer any questions, but again, I think Angie's a good get for you guys. She was great during the audit, so very happy to see that.
Questions? Mr. Crum?
So the problem with Intrust was nothing that we did or nothing we even had control on. It was actually something.
Yeah,
at the
I mean,
bank level.
the city is kind of required to pay attention to that. I mean, it's your money at the end of the day, but interest is the one that pledges the security, so you have to rely on them to pledge those securities. So I told Will maybe make some calendar appointments to call them when you know things are gonna drop off that way, or if you're gonna get a big, send of money from somebody, to make sure that you do have enough pledge. So it's one of those that it's interest is supposed to be the ones doing it, but at the end of the day, it falls on your guys. And you're the one that gets
Angie
paid
and
for
Will
it.
have a meeting with Interest to see what type of solution they can come up with. My opinion is this is Interest's fault, not ours.
Yeah. And I don't, it's not a uncommon thing. It's actually pretty common. A lot of depository securities violations happen because I don't work for a bank. I don't know how it works, but it just seems like it's not a big deal to them. You know, they have to do it because they want your money, but it's not something that they particularly like to do either, so.
Okay, thanks.
Other questions? Seeing none, we thank you again for a good report.
Thank you so much. This one.
Move to item B, which is considered as the U.S. Department of the Treasury Coronavirus Local Physical Recovery Fund award terms and conditions and the assurances of compliance with the civil rights requirements. As you know, we are going to be getting some ARPA funds. These are the forms we have to agree to receive the ARPA funds. You got anything else, Will?
Just that when they're approved, that they authorize me to sign them.
Authorize you to sign them?
Yep.
Okay. Anybody want to approve the money? Mr. Crum?
I'll make a motion that we approve the recommended uses of ARPA funds as presented. Excuse me. Approve the consideration of the U.S. Department of Treasury Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Fund award terms and conditions and assurances of compliance with civil rights requirements.
Second.
And authorize to sign.
And authorize the sign.
Yeah, quick, I was going through that, there's several executive orders, several acts, lots of documents. And I'm wondering, it sounds like dozens, maybe hundreds of pages. How do we ensure that we are in compliance with all the stuff that's in this?
Yeah, that's something that we're relying heavily on entities like the National League of Cities, the League of Kansas Municipalities, because they have webinars. I've already sat through several of them where they're telling you what you can and can't do, and we can get guidance from them. I've emailed the attorneys at the league on certain things that we've looked at actually for the next item on the agenda, so we're going to rely heavily on them, and yeah.
Are you kind of be an expert in that document?
I hope so, yeah.
Okay.
It's a lot of government regulations.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. We also got the new figures. We were talking $1.5 million. Looks like it's going to be about like $1.7 million over a 2-year time frame.
I was gonna ask that because the news said $1.7 million, so.
Anyone want to approve all these government regulations?
I made the motion and also included Will be able to sign it.
Okay,
And I second it.
second over there. Okay. So we have a motion to approve item B as presented, which is the Treasury Coronavirus Fiscal ARPA and assurances. Other discussion? Question?
Kessler?
Yes.
Walters?
Yes.
Rardon?
Yes.
Ewert?
Yes.
Benner?
Yes.
Barton?
Yes.
Crum?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
With that, then item C is recommendation uses of the ARPA funds. Will, Tony, myself, and probably has kind of looked through what is legal to do. So this is not something we're asking you to approve tonight. We're just opening it for additional discussion at this point. Ms. Martin?
My question is what does the $140,000 residential water bill credit look like per resident?
$35.
$35. Over 2 years or just
One time.
one time? Okay.
Again, we're not asking you, we don't even have the money yet, so I'm not asking for approval, I just want to make sure, see if this is a direction that you want to go. Mr. Crump?
What exactly is corrosion control capital costs?
Tony?
It's in reference to the corrosion control study that PEC is performing right now. We have a final that's been submitted to KDHE. Inside that, they have called out for a chemical treatment for our water plant. Basically, they have us an estimate capital cost for a building and the chemical feed system at $200,000.
When we receive the money, you'll have to approve what we're going to use it for anyways. We'll come back to you. We just wanted further discussion if you wanted to talk about it further at this point.
So this all goes to water, or that 200,000 would be considered wastewater, right? Is that what we're looking at?
It's water as well.
Water.
Okay.
Mr. Kessler?
So the water meter replacement, that'll cover all water meters or just a certain percentage or?
No, that's going to cover just a portion of them. Water meters, we don't have the final cost, but maybe about $1 million. But with what the replacement is for your water mains, those funds that are being budgeted, we'll be able to now buy water meters with what our budgeted funds are, because this is going to pay for those. So it's a matter of moving the money from one place to the other, but eventually with the wire and Hungerford replacement, we'll have enough money to pay for the water meters in the 2-year period.
Do we need to table this or just leave it?
No, it's just for discussion. We'll bring it back when we get ready to receive the money and get ready to spend it for your approval. With that, then we'll move to item D, is consideration of the purchase of a patrol vehicle.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you tonight, you have a memo in there regarding a purchase of a patrol vehicle. This is our time of year when we normally come in and we're replacing one of the patrol vehicles in our fleet. The same as with the last few years, we have the dealer that has the state contract bid for vehicles, so it's guaranteed to be the lowest bid price for the vehicle. We're looking to purchase a 2021 Ford Explorer police package from Shawnee Mission Ford in the amount of $32,728. This vehicle will replace vehicle 1602, which is a 2016 Chevy Tahoe that has 116,000 miles on it. The funds to purchase the vehicle are budgeted and it will come from the law enforcement fund.
Mr. Harden, question?
Now, if there's no further discussion, I was gonna make a motion to accept the bid from Shawnee Ford for the 2021 Ford Explorer police package in the amount of $32,728.
Second.
Ms. Burton?
We gotta repurpose that Tahoe?
What's that?
We gotta repurpose that Tahoe?
The one that we're getting rid of, no, we'll probably sell it at auction.
Okay.
Ms. Walters?
This vehicle is a new vehicle with a complete police package.
It won't have the lights and everything. The police package just refers to the engine transmission setup on it. It also has all the pigtails in it for putting all of our emergency lights and things like that in it. So it's all set up for that.
Okay, it just sounded like 32,000 was a fairly good deal for this, but it still needs.
Yeah, no, we'll still end up having to put about $6,000 to $8,000 worth of lights and cages and everything else inside of it.
Okay.
Other discussion? Question?
Kessler?
Yes.
Walters?
Yes.
Rarden?
Yes.
Ewert?
Yes.
Benner?
Yes.
Parton?
Yes.
Crum?
Yes.
Thompson?
Yes.
Thank you.
Item E is a consideration of interior painting on certain wastewater buildings.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We have received bids to clean, prime, and paint the interiors of the UV headworks and sludge pump buildings at the wastewater treatment plant. These were originally painted when the plant was built in 1998. We are requesting authorization to contract with CertaPro Painters in the amount of $27,917.03. They have performed work for the cities of Wichita and Bel Air, and this is also a budgeted item and will be paid out of wastewater contractual. I stand for any questions you may have.
Ms. Burton?
Make a motion to approve the bid for $27,917.03 from CertaPro Painters. Second.
Motion and second to approve the wastewater buildings painting as presented. Mr. Crum?
Curious, what kind of any guarantee does it come with? And I'm absolutely impressed that the other stuff has been there 23 years, apparently.
It's kind of an epoxy-based paint, so it lasts much longer. And also the prep work is, as you paint anything, prepping is what it's all about for how long it'll last.
Does it have any guarantee on it for 3 to 5 years, anything like that?
I don't know for sure. I would hate to guess.
Hopefully not with caustic.
Yeah.
Usually that rules all the warranties out.
Had a motion and second. Other questions, discussion? Call question.
Kessler,
Yes.
Walters,
Yes.
Warden,
Yes.
Ewart,
Yes.
Benner,
Yes.
Parton,
Yes.
Crum,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Item F is a consideration of construction debris service for residents of town. Previously, we were talking about a driveway replacement type thing for residents. That has some real problems to it as far as administrating. So this has come up in between as a problem for residents out there. So Tony has presented this. We're not giving up on the idea, but we don't have that much money to spread around everywhere. So this would be the same $30,000 of contingent money. The driveway program would be presented down the road if we can get a better solution for it. So this one is the one that I guess the last cleanup, we had several of people wanting to know where to do with construction debris, and number of calls. I guess we get people calling because the closest place is up north Wichita.
Yeah, by K96.
Yeah. Mr. Crown, question?
Would it be something like if we had somebody that was doing a bunch of work and it got filled up quickly, if you called, it would like be able to be picked up?
Yeah, it's somebody we utilize throughout the year for our own yard. We use them for citywide cleanup as well. They do a pretty good job. And of course, there's other vendors out there as well if we start having issues with the current vendor.
And do you have a location already in mind where you would put it?
Yeah, it'd be close to what used to be our heaping metal pile that we used to have years ago. It'd be over in that area. So residents be able to recycle metal, asphalt or concrete, and also C&D or construction debris right in that same area.
So when we have a bunch of rain and we have to close down our brush area, does that area stay open?
Yes.
So even if it's, because you're gonna have to deal with all the mud back there and stuff?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it's up front.
Yeah.
Other questions? Mr. Customer?
So this will not be open for commercial or contractor usage. So when it says contractor, is that like a contractor working on someone's house, doing a project, wanting to dump there?
Correct.
How would you, I guess, enforce that? Would the homeowner have to go there with it?
It'd be similar to our recycling center for our tree brush. Say, for instance, you hire a contractor, we may call you and say, hey, did you hire Will Black to trim your trees and haul his brush here, just to verify. It's kind of a moving problem we have at times where contractors do try to abuse the system. But we usually may not catch them the first time, but we usually catch them eventually and have a conversation with them. Same thing with this. Tires, mattresses, and batteries won't be allowed. Just like we have people who bring brush and try to sneak lumber in. We catch them and let them know they can't do that. So we'll kind of manage it the same way we do currently with our other recycling services.
You're gonna be keeping track of names, I'm sure, as people come through, and maybe over time you'll be able to see some type of trend if the same people come over several times, maybe different addresses.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We have a spreadsheet that our office staff utilizes for all the recycling, address, phone number, name, tag number, all that stuff that you can use to track them.
Thanks.
This is something that should be open for a lot of people to use. Mr. Crum?
If there's no more discussion, I was gonna make a motion that we approve the consideration of the construction debris service for residents as presented.
Second.
Motion second to approve the construction debris services for residents as presented. Other discussion? Question?
Kessler,
Yes.
Walters,
Yes.
Warden,
Yes.
Ewart,
Yes.
Benner,
Yes.
Parton,
Yes.
Crum,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
Thank you.
Item 7, department reports. Well,
I have no announcements.
Angie's not share anything?
No.
No. Chief?
My only announcement is our visiting officer this evening is Lieutenant Malcolm Young. He's currently in charge of our patrol section, so say hi to him as you go by out there. That's all I've got. Thanks.
Tony, Public Works.
Just some information for North Main construction. Things are moving pretty well considering the rain we've had. Contractor will be working on finishing the laying asphalt on the east sides, including the concrete driveways this week. Tentatively, they're expecting to switch traffic to the outside lanes next week. So north and south will be the outside lanes. At that time, left turns will only be allowed from the intersections of Sarah Lane, Anita, Fager, and Carla. Thank you.
And hopefully that's not very long.
Couple days.
Rob?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Haysville Recreation is currently taking applications and registrations for the 4th of July Sand Volleyball Tournament, which will be played on July 3rd. And you can sign up for the 4th of July Parade, which we will do on July 3rd as well.
You're on. Item 8, appointments. We have none. Item 9, off agenda, citizens. Anyone? Where? One of these? No? Item 10, executive, nothing. Item 11, bills to be paid. Bills for the first half of June.
I'll make a motion that we pay the first half of June bills.
Second.
Motion second, pay the first half of June bills. Discussion? Question?
Kessler,
Yes.
Walters,
Yes.
Barton,
Yes.
Ewert,
Yes.
Benner,
Yes.
Parton,
Yes.
Crum,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.
12, consent agenda, nothing. Item 13, council items, concerns, council, anybody? Oh, light up like Christmas tree, really. Mr. Arden?
I got a phone call this afternoon, and I didn't have time to write it up, but our illustrious piece of property at 120 Trout came up again this afternoon, and apparently he's moving, it looks like he's moving building material in, he's moving pallets, he's moving all kinds of stuff. I'm just kind of curious as to where we were at with this gentleman, because he just seems to,
What's his court date?
June 24th.
He'll be back in district court June 24th.
have gone to district court.
Yes.
Good.
He appealed, we gave him our sentence, he appealed to district court. District court set it for June 24th. Ms. Stewart?
That's what I was bringing up.
Okay.
Same thing.
Mr. Spinner?
I had two items. One, I had a concern about the business that's now occupying the old hack, about the appearance of the old stuff that's out there. I don't know if there's anything we can do about that. The other thing, I was contacted today about the handicap parking at Platoon's Carpenter baseball field. Apparently, there are only 3 spaces there that are identified as handicap parking. And so that doesn't seem like very many handicap spots for a parking lot that big. Could we check into that?
Sure, let me see what the requirement is, sure. Yeah. And the other one, have we visited with them anymore about asking them to make it look a little nicer? No, we're restricted to what we can do because of their zoning. But have we had any discussion with them asking to maybe not make it look quite as junky?
Yeah, code enforcement has a notice out to them on some weeds grass, also general blight, and also storing of material, not an all-weather surface.
And we're actually meeting with the prosecutor tomorrow to see if there's a way to go on the other side,
Okay.
but we want to meet with her first.
So we're working at trying to see.
I'll say, that was a new owner. Is there not something we can do as far as the screening?
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, is there
About the screen.
something that you can do to that chain link fence, those metal slats you slide
The
in?
screening
or-
is not required for the outdoor storage for that. It is.
Light industrial.
Light industrial.
So they have more, they can do heavier use and stuff.
So we'll see what we can do with the prosecutor and the code. And we'll see if we can get it to in a better condition than it is at this point.
Yeah, they just keep dragging more stuff in.
Yeah, it's rotating stock.
They're an auction company.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it
Mr. Crump?
changes all the time.
I had a couple of things. I noticed on we've got a tab on the website about our Wi-Fi coverage, and it only lists like 3 spots. One of them's not the pool. I was just wondering if we need to maybe look at updating that.
Update our Wi-Fi city map.
They are working on it. Sam just hasn't gotten to it, but we are trying to get that the next week. It's on the
Okay, and
list.
then it would also like, underneath, that's one of the tabs at the top, but underneath, when it lists each one of the parks, and underneath the parks, it's got bullet points about different things that are available at that park. If there's Wi-Fi available at that park, I think that should be included on a bullet point. Tony, I was kind of curious about how we're repairing Timber Lane Drive right now. I know we've got one section done. I guess when I saw it in my head, I thought we were gonna do sections the other direction. It's like we're going the same direction as the street. I thought we might do sections out from the curb. Is that just, are we gonna end up just with a line out there about the same width all the way across that area?
Yeah, so we're addressing the areas that completely failed. We were able to dig it up, remove soil. It was actually dry. We added about 6 inches of rock, and then we put 6 inches of asphalt. Typically, the residential road only has 4 inches of asphalt, so we did put a lot more asphalt back. We're not done. We've laid about 44 tons of asphalt, which is 88,000 pounds, and we've done that with 3 or 4 guys. So it's gonna take us a little bit of time. We have a new compactor on our backhoe. That's also helping us compact that soil and that rock. So we were hoping, expecting a better finish than what was there before. But we're gonna continue on, and as it fails, continue taking sections out and adding new asphalt.
Okay, so, but that's probably all, the section that's failing, it all seems like it's kind of almost basically in a straight line, right?
Right. And there's, if you go by, there's other sections they have already saw cut out, they just haven't removed it yet. There's at least like 2 or 3 sections right now they have saw cut.
Okay, and I've been going by and watching them work, they've been doing a good job. I was just kind of curious of what the idea was to just do this kind of step by step.
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it has no rock base at all underneath that road, and also it's the very bottom of that little valley, or whatever you want to call it, so when it does get water, it holds water underneath the road. Luckily, we didn't have any water underneath it this time, otherwise we would have been where we were 2 years ago, or a year ago.
And then Chief, I didn't really want to put you on the spot, but I just realized when you were up there talking that actually fireworks go on sale the 27th.
Yes.
And our next meeting's not until the 28th. Do you know if that non-emergency number is going to be in act, and are we going to get everything posted about when people can shoot off and all that stuff?
Yes, we'll put that out there. The non-emergency number for 911 will be in effect. We'll have those dates and everything. We have a social media post that we're ready to put out there. We're just waiting until it gets a little bit closer. And yes, anytime the fireworks stands are open, people are allowed to detonate fireworks as a rule of thumb. Buy them where you shoot them, and yes, we'll have the safety messages out, and I'll give the detonation times at the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
That's all I have.
Okay. Seeing no further, we're going to item D, council action request updates.
Tony has a stack.
So in reference to 7356 South Broadway, they did remove the inoperable vehicle, but has since moved into operable trucks onto an all-weather service, but that all-weather service now needs sprayed. We've communicated that to the resident. Third garage west of Pleasant on 63rd, which is 228 Sunflower. I have the update there, but also over the weekend they did remove the boat, so now that case is considered closed. 346 Western, the property was mowed on May 25th. The resident is working out of the country, and he hired somebody to take care of the property while he was out of the country. And we have communicated to him that person is failing at that. We typically have it scheduled for abatement tomorrow, so if they don't take care of all the issues by tomorrow, we'll have it abated by our contractor. And then 515 Wire, the resident has cleaned and removed the items from the driveway. Case is considered closed. Thank you.
Item 14, adjournment.
Mayor and council make a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting.
Second.
Motion second to adjourn, discussion, question.
Kessler,
Yes.
Walters,
Yes.
Barden,
Yes.
Ewart,
Yes.
Benner,
Yes.
Parton,
Yes.
Crum,
Yes.
Thompson.
Yes.